Let's talk about effects of the Civil War. First, the negative effects. Obviously, is the death toll. Over 600,000 men are killed. Most of them are from disease. Now, that's 600,000 people who are not able to contribute to American society. It also leaves behind a number of widows, women without husbands. Now, these women, and it was more unlikely to remarry at this time, these women lead a much more active life. They have that sphere of influence kind of removed from them. That cult of domesticity does not apply as much to them. During the war, women were very active. In the North, they acted as fundraisers. They worked as nurses. They contributed to the Sanitary Commission, which was an organization that promoted good health in the army camps. And they also ran patriotic organizations. Afterwards, this experience leads them to be real leaders in reform movements and charity organizations. This does not lead to sexual equality, but it does bring us closer. And this is a trend in all American wars. They don't result in total sexual equality, but major wars bring us closer to sexual equality. Now, we see some of the same effects in the South, but it's not as dramatic due to the more conservative views on the role of women that persisted in the South. The war greatly affected the working class people of America as well. There's major inflation, which we talked about, and prices are rising faster than wages. That hurts the working class. The Republican Party, who's mainly in power in the North, is optimistic that workers' rights will improve and conditions for workers will improve. Many of these working class people are also immigrants. Many immigrants served and died. Many German immigrants, many Irish immigrants contributed to the war effort. And as a result of their contributions, we see nativism on the decline. There is less resistance and opposition to foreigners as a result of the Civil War. There are also some major political effects. Most notably, we have settled once and for all that the federal government is supreme. States' rights are out the window. That loose interpretation of federal power is going to be the way we interpret the Constitution. State governments, it has been proven on the battlefield now that state governments cannot secede from the Union. State governments cannot nullify laws that they disagree with. They still have a lot of responsibility, but it's very clear that the federal government is supreme. We also see the biggest effect on the federal government in its economic powers. We move from being a laissez-faire government that stays out of the economy as much to one that is going to actively support business and agriculture. Our government is going to pass a high protective tariff because there's no Southerners to say no. Our government is going to pass the Homestead Act, which gives free land out west as long as you promise to farm it. It also gives huge chunks of land to the railroad companies for the Transcontinental Railroad. It's also going to pass the Morrill Land Grant Act, which gives huge chunks of federal land to states if they promise to build a college that at least teaches some agriculture classes. They can teach whatever they want, but as long as there are agriculture classes taught, free land for the states for universities. And we also see the creation of a national banking system. Banks have to keep up with it, or have to keep enough money on hand as part of this system, and they can invest in federal government bonds, and they can issue federal paper money, which is very stable. So we're starting to see the banking system improve after all the damage done to it by Jackson. We also see major effects on society. Individualism is going to give way to an organized, cooperative society. We're not communists, but we are much more organized and work in large groups. The modern bureaucratic state emerges. People, like soldiers or people in organizations during the war, are used to working in an environment with a top-down command system. And this is the catalyst for the transformation of American society in the late 19th century that will lead to the Industrial Revolution.